Oh, darlin', let me pull you close and whisper a truth that still makes my chest ache like a fresh bruise. The night my husband, Jack looked at me across our crowded living room, his eyes glassy from whiskey and wild with that dark hunger he hid from the world, and said, "Honey, why don't you slip out of that dress for the boys here tonight? Just to show 'em what a lucky man I am." The room went quiet as a held breath, his buddies from the mill shifting in their seats, chairs creaking under flannel shirts and calloused hands. I stood there in my Sunday best, the floral print clinging a bit too tight after years of comfort over care, and felt the air turn thick as molasses. He never expected what came next. But sometimes, honey, the deepest humiliations are the sparks that light the fire to burn it all down. My name is Margaret. And back then I was 52. Living in a mill town called Harlan's Bend, just off the Chattahoochee River in Georgia, where the air always carried a hint of pine and paper dust from the factory that swallowed men's days whole. Jack and I had been married 30 years. Since we were kids, really running barefoot through the same red clay fields, chasing lightning bugs till our mamas called us in for cornbread and beans. He was the boy with the crooked grin and arms strong from hauling hay who promised me the stars if I'd wear his Letterman jacket to the sock hop. I said yes because his laugh made the world feel safe. And for a long time it did. We built a life simple but solid. A shotgun house on Elm Street with a tin roof that sang in summer rains, and a front yard where I'd plant marigolds every spring to ward off the beetles. Our girl Ellie was grown by then 28 and teaching kindergarten in Atlanta, her letters home full of crayon drawings from her little ones. Jack worked the line at the paper mill third shift, mostly coming home with shoulders slumped and stories of quotas met or missed over black coffee at the diner. I kept books at the library part-time, shelving romances and histories that made me dream of places beyond the bend. Sundays were church, then potluck, where the ladies clucked over recipes and the men slapped backs over football scores. Jack would hold my hand in the pew, his thumb tracing circles on my palm. And I'd think, this is it. The quiet, good life God intended. But the mill started changing him long before that night. Layoffs came like thieves in the dark, first his buddy Roy, then half the crew, and Jack's shifts stretched longer to make up the hours. The whiskey helped at first. A shot after supper to unwind the knots in his back. But it loosened more than muscles. It let out the resentments he'd bottled since his daddy walked out when he was 12, leaving him to raise his brothers on scraps and spite. "You're nothing without me," he'd slur some nights, his breath hot on my neck as I washed dishes, the suds popping soft. "Who'd want you now, Maggie?" Faded and frumpy. Faded. The word stuck like burrs in wool. I'd turn slow water dripping from my hands and say, "Jack, that's enough. We're in this together. Together." He'd laugh, then low and mean. "Together till the money runs dry." The first real crack came 5 years back. Ellie's wedding to that nice boy from the bank, a small affair in our backyard with white chairs rented and cake from the bakery downtown. Jack drank too much punch spiked with his flask, and during the toasts stood swaying microphone in hand. "Margaret, here's the woman who kept me straight." He boomed to the crowd, aunts and cousins nodding polite. "But without her, I'd be lost. Lost." Then quieter, his eyes on me across the lawn. "And she's still got it, don't she?" The dress she wore that night. Slipped off easy as silk. The guests chuckled awkward, thinking it a joke. But I saw the glint. The way his friends Leroy and Buck leaned in grins wolfish. I forced a smile, waving it off as the band struck up the daddy-daughter dance. But later in the kitchen, cake knife in hand, my hands shook so hard the blade nicked my thumb, blood beating red on frosting white. He apologized next morning. Over eggs scrambled runny the way I liked. "Maggie, I was 3 sheets. You know I didn't mean it." "Mean." I nodded, wiping the counter linoleum sticky from spills. "It's all right, Jack. Water under the bridge. But the words lingered. And the nights after, when he'd have the boys over for poker in the den, smoke curling thick as fog, the comments came sly. "Remember that time at the lake, Maggie," he said once, card slapping table. "You in that bikini?" Damn near caused a wreck. Laughter boomed. And I'd hover in the doorway with a pitcher of tea ice, clinking glasses, sweating. Laughing along high and false. "Boys will be boys," I'd say, retreating to the bedroom door, clicking shut behind me. But the seed was planted. Humiliation watered slow. It grew in the quiet ways. The way he'd eye me changing for bed, his gaze not loving but appraising like livestock at auction. "Put on that red number tonight," he said, one anniversary, the candlelight flickering on our bedside table. For old times, old I did. Slipping into lace yellowed from the drawer. and he took me rough, his hands gripping hips hard enough to leave prints. Like he was proving something. To me, to himself. Afterward, he'd roll away, snoring deep. And I'd lie there, sheets tangled around legs, the ceiling fan whirring lazy, wondering when love turned to performance. When I became the prop in his play, the boys came over more after that. Leroy with his bad knee from the war, Buck with stories tall as the pines, and Hank the quiet one who watched too long. Poker nights stretched to Fridays, then Saturdays, the house thick with cigar smoke and empty bottles clinking in the trash. I'd serve snacks, cheese, and crackers on a tray the way his mama did, smiling as they joked. "Maggie, you're a saint," Jack'd say, arm around my waist, pulling me to his lap for a second. The others hooting. But his fingers dug in. A warning. "Stay sweet, sweet." One night Hank lingered after, helping with chairs, folding them neat in the hall. "You're good to him, Maggie," he said, voice low. "Jack's lucky, lucky." I nodded, throat tight. "Thank you, Hank." The door shut. And Jack's voice from the den. What was that about? Nothing, I said. "Just helping? Helping?" He grabbed my arm then, twisting till I winced. "Don't flirt, you hear? Flirt." The bruise bloomed purple next day, hidden under cardigans. Ellie noticed on her visits. Driving down from Atlanta with pies, apple crisp, the crust flaky. "Mom, you okay?" she asked one Sunday, peeling potatoes in the kitchen sink, water running cold. "Your arm, that mark." "Fell down the stairs, honey, stairs, the lie easy now." She hugged me tight then. Apron flour dusted. "If you need me, call. Anytime. Anytime." I nodded. "Of course, baby." But the mark faded. And the nights rolled on. Jack's request growing bolder. "Wear that low-cut top for the game," he said one evening, remote in hand, football blaring. "Show the boys what they're missing." Missing. I did. Blouse buttons straining. And their eyes lingered. Jack's laugh proud. "See, fellas, mine, the word possessive." And in bed later, his hands rougher. Like sharing the view made him claim harder. The tension built like storm clouds over the river. Low rumbles at first, then flashes. One Friday, the mill laid off another round. Jack came home early, shirt untucked, eyes storm dark. The boys arrived anyway. Beers cracking open, foam spilling. And the talk turned bitter. "Women these days," he said, dealing cards slow. "Think they're too good. Want more than they earn." Leroy nodded. Buck laughed. And Jack's gaze on me in the kitchen doorway, apron tied. "Ain't that right, Maggie? You know your place." The room chuckled. And I forced a smile. Tea-boys, ice clinking. But inside, the thunder rolled. That night, the air was heavy. Humidity thick as the tension. The boys settled in den chairs, scraping. Cards shuffling. And Jack called from the couch. "Maggie, come here." I wiped hands on towel. Entering slow. "Yes, Jack," he grinned. Loose from the bottle. "Why don't you give the boys a show?" "Show." The room stilled. Leroy's cigar pausing mid-puff. Buck's beer halfway to lip. Hank's eyes on the floor. "Undress, honey." He said it casual. Like asking for more chips. Slip out of that dress. Just to show him what a lucky man I am. Lucky. The words hung. And my heart stopped. The room spun slow. Faces turning. Waiting. And in that moment, the world cracked open. The humiliations, the bruises, the years pouring out like river flood. I stood there. Dress floral soft against skin. Hands at my sides. And Jack leaned back, expectant, grin widening. "Go on, darlin'." For me, for the word broke something. And I smiled, slow, calm as the river at dawn. "All right, Jack," I said, voice steady. The boys shifted, chairs creaking, and I reached for the zipper. Slow, the sound loud in the quiet. Zipper teeth parting, fabric loosening. But as the dress slipped to my shoulders, I didn't let it fall. Not yet. Instead, I stepped forward, to the side table, where my phone sat charging, cord plugged, and I tapped the screen. Light glowing. The voice recorder app open, running, since the first beer cracked. His face changed then. Grin fading. "Boys, what the—" The room erupted. Chairs pushing back. Leroy sputtering. Buck choking on foam. Hank standing silent. And I let the dress fall, pooled at my feet. Standing there in slip-in stockings. Not ashamed. Not broken, but tall. The bruises on my arms. The ones from his grips. Visible now. Under the lamplight, yellow and blue. "Look, boys," I said, voice clear. "Look what lucky gets you." "Lucky." Jack lunged then. Hand out to grab the phone. But Hank stepped forward. Easy, Jack. Easy. The word like a wall. And Leroy's eyes wide. Maggie. God, Maggie. We didn't know. No, the truth spilled then. The words I'd swallowed years. The slaps in the kitchen. The twists in the hall. The way he'd whisper you're nothing after. Nothing. The room listened. Silent as judgment. Jack's face crumbling. Pale as mill ash. Maggie, stop. This is private. Private. I laughed then. Soft. Not private when you shout it to the world. And I hit stop on the recording. Phone warm in palm. Then I picked up the dress, slipping it on slow, zipper zipping up, and walked to the door. Not running, walking, head high. The night air cool on my skin as I stepped out. Stars bright overhead. And behind me the voices rose. Hank's low. What the hell, Jack? Leroy's sharp. You monster. And Jack's broken. Maggie. Wait, but I didn't. The car keys in my pocket. Engine turning over. And I drove. To Ellie's 2 hours away. Lights blurring on the highway. Tears coming hot. But not for him, for me. The woman I'd buried under yeses and smiles. The climax wasn't the undress. It was the stand. The response he never saw coming. Because sometimes, darlin', the greatest revenge is claiming your voice, loud, unafraid, and walking into the dawn. The river ran lazy that summer we met. Jack and I 16 and full of fireflies in our bellies. He dared me to swim the bend. Water cold on bare legs, his hand in mine pulling me under laughing bubbles rising. We surfaced gasping, kissing wet and wild under willow trees. That's when I knew. This boy with river eyes would be my forever, forever. The word tasted like honeysuckle then, sweet, endless. Mama warned me, though. Over breakfast, grits steaming. He's got his daddy's temper, Maggie. Keep him soft, soft, I nodded. Spoon stirring sugar. I can, Mama. I will. The promise, young and blind. Years passed like pages turned. Wedding in the church steeple, white against blue sky. Vows exchanged, ring gold on finger. Ellie came 9 months later. Crying loud in the hospital room. Jack's face soft, holding her tiny. Our girl, he whispered. Kissing my forehead, sweat damp. The good years stacked. Picnics by the river, sandwiches, ham and cheese. Ellie toddling grass stains on knees. Jack's arms around us both. Laughing at her chubby fist grabbing fireflies. Those nights I'd lie awake. His breath even on my neck. Thank you, God, for this. The blessing wrapped in flannel and faith, but the mill called him early. Dawn shifts whistle blowing. Home late supper cold. The first resentment came quiet. Over bills stacked on the counter. We can't afford that dress, Maggie. Not now. I folded it back in the box. Tissue crinkling. It's all right, Jack. For church. Church, he nodded. But eyes hard. And the hand on my shoulder. Squeezing. Too tight. Sorry, he said later. Work's killing me. Killing. I forgave. Because forgiveness was love then. Love the glue holding the pages. Ellie started school. Bus yellow pulling away. My hand waving till it vanished. Jack's pride at her report cards. Straight A's like her mama. But the boys came more. After shifts, beers on the porch. Stories of the line bosses barking. Laughter loud. And me serving plates of ribs saucy. Smile fixed. One night Leroy said, Maggie, you're a keeper. Jack, lucky. Jack's arm around me then. Tight. She knows it, he said. Voice edged. Knows her place, the word landed. And I smiled. Yes, Jack, I do, the changes crept. The way he'd look at me in the mirror. Getting ready for the mill. Turn around, he said. Let me see, his eyes traveling. Not loving, judging. Lost the figure, Maggie. Figure. I tugged the blouse. It's the years, Jack. Years. He laughed. Mean. Better find it. Find. The mirror fogged from my breath. Hot. And the tears came silent. Wiping quick. Because tears were weakness. Weakness he hated. Ellie's teen years brought more. Boys calling. Jack answering gruff. No daughter of mine. She rolled eyes. Dad, chill. But he didn't. The hand on her shoulder. Too hard. Maggie, control her. Control, I did. Talking soft in her room, posters curling. He's protecting you, baby. Protecting, she nodded. But eyes sad. Like mine. The mill layoff hit like fever. Jack home days. Whiskey bottles emptying. The boys over constant. Smoke thick. And the comments bolder. Remember Maggie at the reunion, he said one night, cards fanning. That dress. Short. Heads turned. Laughter. And I laughed. High, tea pitcher shaking. But inside the river raged. The night built slow. The layoff notice crumpled in his pocket. Boys arriving early. Beers opening. Talk turning dark. Women, he said. Think they're queens. I hovered. Snacks tray heavy. And he called. Maggie. The voice slurred. Come. I did. Dress floral soft. And the words. Undress for the boys. The room waited. And I reached. Zipper slow. But the phone. Tapped. Recording. The truth captured. Forever. The drive to Ellie's was a blur. Highway lights streaking yellow against black sky. My dress still on. Zipper half up. Slip beneath clammy. The phone in my lap. Recorder stopped. But the voices echoed. Jack's laugh dying. Hank's easy. Leroy's sputter. I gripped the wheel. Knuckles white. Heart pounding like the river in flood. What had I done? The undress not for show, but for power. The bruises bared. The truth voiced. And the recording. Evidence cold as steel. Ellie opened the door at 1 a.m., hair in rollers. Robe tied loose. Mom. Her voice sleepy then sharp. What happened? I stepped in. Apartment small. Toys from her class scattered. And the tears came hot, sobbing on her couch. The story spilled. The night. The dress. The phone. She held me, rocking, like I did her as a baby. That bastard. Her word new. Grown. Mom, you should have left years ago. I wiped face. Sleeve soft. I know, baby. But love's the blindfold. She nodded. Eyes fierce. Stay here. Tomorrow we call the law. The word anchored. And sleep came fitful. Dreams of the river. Jack pulling me under. But I surfaced, gasping, free. Morning brought coffee brewing, strong. Ellie at the stove, eggs frying. Her husband Ben at the table. Papers spread. What's going on, he asked. Gentle. Ellie told. Voice steady. Jack, the undress. The bruises. Ben's face darkened. Maggie. God, I'm sorry. I sipped coffee. Mug warm. Not your sorry, Ben. Mine to carry. Ellie sat beside. Phone in hand. Play it. I did. The speaker tinny. Jack's voice. Undress, honey. The room went still. Eggs burning. Smoke curling. Ellie's fist clenched. Mine. The recording ended. Silence heavy. Ben stood. That's it. Police. I nodded. Yes. The call came. Station downtown. Officer Ramirez. Voice calm on the line. Ma'am, come in. Well, listen. We did. Afternoon light slanting through blinds. The phone played again. His words damning. Ramirez's pen scratching. This is assault, Maggie. Assault. The word official. And domestic. Years of it, years. I nodded. Tears silent. Yes. He never hid in public, but the humiliation. That's the weapon. She nodded. Eyes kind. We'll get a order. Order, protection. The paper crisp in my hand. Name typed. Margaret Hale, my maiden back. Like reclaiming home that evening. Or what was. The house dark. Porch light off. Key turning slow. Door creaking. And Jack inside. Sitting at the kitchen table. Bottle half empty. Eyes red. Maggie, his voice broke. What did you do? I stood tall. Dress changed to jeans and sweater. Soft. The recording Maggie. To the boys. To the law. His face crumpled. They think I'm a monster. I laughed. Soft. You are Jack. In the dark. The slaps. The grips. The words that cut deeper than fists. He stood. Chair scraping. I was drunk. Joking. The word hung. And I stepped back, hand up. No more. The order in my pocket. Like a shield. He sank down. Head in hands. Please, Maggie, Ellie, the grandkids someday. Grandkids. The plea tugged. Old love dying. But I shook head. No, Jack, this ends. I packed a bag. Clothes folded neat. Books from the shelf. The photo of Ellie baby in arms. And left. Door clicking shut. His sob behind. Maggie, Ellie's couch became bed. Nights talking late. Her hand in mine. Remember when Dad was good, she said. Fishing trips, laughter, laughter. I nodded. He was. But good turns, if not tended. Tended. Ben brought dinner. Chinese takeout boxes steaming. You okay, Maggie? Okay. Healing Ben. One breath. Breath. The law moved slow. But sure, hearing set. Witnesses called. Hank first. Quiet in the courtroom. Wood benches hard. His voice low. Saw the bruises. Heard the words. Jack's face across, pale, eyes pleading silent. Leroy next, sweating, didn't know Maggie. God, I'm sorry, the judge. Woman gray-haired. Eyes sharp. Order granted. No contact, the gavel fell. Wood on wood, final. Jack stood. Mouth open. Maggie. But the bailiff stepped. Out, sir, out, I walked free. Air sweet outside. Leaves falling gold. Ellie hugging. Proud, Mom, proud. The word mine now. Months passed. The house sold. Proceeds split. Mine a small apartment near the library. Bookshelves lining walls. Peace in pages. Ellie visited. Bringing plants fern green. Water them, Mom, like you, like I did. And the writing started. Journal at first. Words spilling. The hurts. The stand. Then letters to the paper. The Harlan Herald? Editor called. Maggie, your voice. Raw, real, publish, publish. The column grew. From the Bend. Stories of women rising. Letters came. Thank you. Me too. The community shifted. Whispers to nods. Betty from church. Coffee after service. Brave Maggie, brave. I smiled. Just human, Betty. Human. Jack tried. Letters through Ellie. I'm changing. Therapy. AA. Changing. I read. But didn't reply. The order held. Till one day at the diner. Pancakes hot. Syrup pooling. He sat across. Permission granted. Eyes clear, sober. Maggie, can we talk? Talk? I nodded. Fork pausing. Yes, but no promises. Promises. He nodded. The night. God, the night. I was lost. The mill. The bottle. You didn't deserve. Tears in his eyes. Real. I sipped coffee. Bitter. No, Jack, I didn't. But I stood. For me, stood. He reached. Hand open. No grab. Friends? Friends, maybe. Someday. The word open. Not chained. The climax lingered. Not the undress. The response. The recording, the walk. But the life after. The bend turning straight. The river running free. The apartment smelled of fresh paint and possibility. Boxes unpacked slow. Books shelved by color spine out. The first night alone, the silence rang. No snores. No creaks, just me. And the river outside window distant. Rushing, like blood returning to veins. Ellie called daily. Mom, dinner Sunday. Ben's grilling, burgers char. I went, table set. Laughter light. And the talk turned. To Jack, he's asking about you. Asking. I nodded. Salad tossing. Let him the column published first. The dress that fell, words raw. The night. The stand. Readers wrote. One from Leroy's wife. Saw the bruises too. Left him last year. Left. Strength in ink. The hearing came winter. Snow dusting the bend. Courtroom cold. Benches wood polished. Jack across. Suit pressed. Eyes down. The judge listened. Recording played. His voice tinny. Undress. The room gasped soft. Women in the gallery nodding. Known. Testimony flowed. Mind steady. The years. The humiliations. The hands. His lawyer soft. A mistake, Your Honor, mistake. The judge eyed him. Mistake is spilled milk, sir. This is crime, order extended. Counseling mandatory. Mandatory, gavel fell. And I breathed. Out, free. Spring brought green. The library full. Patrons smiling. Maggie, your column. Inspired, I wrote more. The response. The power in no. Ellie engaged then. Ring sparkling. Wedding planning. Dresses white, mine blue. For the mother dance. Jack invited. Through Daniel, no Ellie. Grandkids someday. Someday, I said yes. Neutral. The ceremony riverside. Vows exchanged. Love real. His hand in hers. And mine in Ellie's. Dance slow. Jack watched from chairs, eyes wet. Approached after. Maggie. Congrats. Congrats, thank you. The word civil and gone. No grab. The twist came summer. Jack's call, permission, sober 2 years. Can I apologize? Apologize. Coffee shop neutral. Mug steaming. Maggie, I was poison, the bottle. The pride. Hurt you, tears his, real. I nodded. Yes, but forgiveness, Jack, is for me. Not you, me. He nodded. Understood. Friends? Friends, perhaps. The river ran on. Bending but not breaking, years wove like river reeds. The column book bound. Signings at the library. Faces familiar. Thank you, Maggie. Changed my life. Ellie's babies came. Twins boy-girl. Cuddles soft. Jack grandfather distant. Visits supervised. But soft. The hurt healed. Scars faint. My dance with the groom at the wedding. Ellie beaming. Proud mom, proud the lesson, darlin'. Humiliation's not the end. It's the call. To rise, to respond. With voice. With strength. The dress falls. But you stand. Tall. Unbowed. The river flows. Free. If this story touched your heart, don't forget to subscribe for more powerful stories like this.